Welcome to the Wood and Work podcast. Please don't forget to leave us a review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening. Today's guest is I believe, a very special guest. He is, for me, one of my all-time favourite content creators, and the reason I started creating content, it is the man himself, Jason Bent from Bent Woodworking.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Hello.
How are you?
All right. Thank you very, very much for joining, Jason. I do feel very privileged for you to take your time out to speak to me. For those people that don't actually know, the ones that have been living under a rock or something, they don't know who you are. Could you just sort of give us a quick brief to who you are, what it is you do?
Yes. So my name is Jason Bent, and I run Bent's Woodworking on YouTube and Instagram. I mean, social media, my website. I started woodworking back in 2016 because my wife asked me to build a table, and I went and bought some tools that I saw in a YouTube video that told me what I needed to do, and I built that table, and I just fell in love with woodworking, and then that evolved into me deciding one day to do some YouTube videos, and I found that I really liked that because I love teaching. And then that has just morphed into what I do now, which is primarily content creation. And I did do custom work for quite some time for clients, and the YouTube thing just picked up, and I kind of just decided to step away from client stuff and just focus on doing content creation because I was in the Army for 20 years. I just retired from the Army in May, and that was the thing that really paid my bills. Woodworking was a way to fund a new obsession, and that obsession was woodworking. So when I built stuff for clients, I built up my shop, and then I built up my shop enough, and I was earning a little bit of money from YouTube, and I was like, I don't need the client work anymore. I just want to go all in and focus on the content creation. That's led me to where we are today, which is awesome, and I love it.
I mean, to be honest, you've done it in such. I mean, the fact of you only started woodworking, joinery, carpentry, whatever you want to call it, under that umbrella, only 7-8 years ago. It's pretty amazing the sort of work you turn out to start with. Like, just the quality of your items is superb for someone that's only been in the trade for such a short time.
Well, thank you.
And yet, as you say, you've got such a good, because the way your videos are, I found them very, as you say, instructional. I mean, I'm a joiner for 25 years, so I'm well seasoned, but I found your videos very instructional and helpful. So it just shows that, an old dog can learn new tricks, can't we? Do you know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. So, I actually get that a lot when it comes to the videos on the way that I go about instructing things. So, I'm not an expert on anything. And I've made that very clear a million times on all the different platforms that I'm on. People get this misconception of people on social media that, that person is perfect and they're doing everything exactly right and they never screw up and all of these things, right? And there are some content creators out there that make it appear that way on purpose because they're afraid of the backlash of, they made a mistake and someone's going to make a negative comment. I am very green when it comes to woodworking still, and I have a lot to learn, and I am somebody that wants to continue to learn. However, there's a misconception that you have to be the expert and know everything about a topic in order to teach it. And I have always argued against that because for me, I might try something for the first time and then go, you know what? I could probably share this with people and they would find it helpful. Doesn't mean I'm an expert at it. It just means that I'm going to explain how I did it and hopefully that helps somebody. And the way that I go about teaching and instructing is 100% based off my time in the military. So the method in which I teach is totally from my time as a drill sergeant. Totally from my
drill sergeant, which is quite a. I mean, obviously, I know in the UK, our armies or military service is very different. But I mean, as a drill sergeant, you're pretty much, we call them PTs, and they're pretty much fucking animals, and you're hard faced. And you got the arsehole that makes us really step to line and get things. There's a reason behind it, and I totally get it. I understand that, and I know the reason for you being such a hard arse. But you're very, as a drill sergeant, it's quite a very particular thing, isn't it? You're very particular about stuff, like the way that left foot down
Yes.
together, the way
Yes.
that the gun moves at the same time, the way that you move.
Yes. So when you learn to be a drill sergeant, I would assume it's this way in all countries that have drill instructors. You're taught different ways of teaching, different methods of instruction, right? Because everybody learns differently. And so, you have step by step, you have by the numbers, you have all of these different techniques that get after different things. And some things are better one way versus the other. So the big takeaway that I had during that time, though, was trying to figure out how to explain something in a way that even the most seasoned person would understand and the beginner would understand. I don't want it to be so over the top beginner that it just turns everybody else off that's not a beginner, but I also don't want it to be so complex and over the top that the beginner doesn't understand what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So finding that balance is the difficult part. And a result, unfortunately, is, sometimes you have to talk a little bit more. And I've gotten flack for that. And I've tried to get better about it, get my point across faster. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you don't like what you're watching, then just don't watch it. You know what I mean?
No, I do totally agree, because like I've noticed with some of the videos I've done, because I've started, and like you were one of the people that inspired me to actually start on the content side and and I've tried different things, and the amount of hate and nasty comments out there is unreal, isn't it? Unfortunately, and it's not a nice thing. But as you say, that I've done some projects, like I did a Kumiko project for a friend's challenge that he did on Instagram. And I did a video on Kumiko, first time I ever done it. And I showed you all my mistakes and everything, because I was learning how to do this as I did it. Now, loads of people went, "That's brilliant." But then lots of people went, "Well, you're an idiot, you're not a joiner." You're like, come on. And it's very hard, as you say, just to, joinery is such a big thing, or woodworking, should we say, is such a big, big factor. You can't be good at everything. I mean, 25 years I've been doing it, and I can't do it.
Right.
And
if you are, well,
I'm clearly not, because otherwise my channel would be doing so much better.
Yeah, that's honestly the biggest frustration with me about social media and what I do. Right, my YouTube channel is not for anybody else but me. Yeah. I'm doing the videos that I'm doing because it's what works for me, and I know it's what people in my audience have asked for.
Yeah.
And so I want to share that, right? So like, I'm not making content for Bob in New York, right? Specifically, I'm making a video, and if you get something out of it, you get something out of it. If you don't, you don't. And what really I'm starting to get a little bit more irritated by lately is that people are so close-minded on any video that is doing something a way that they would not normally do it, or that there's another way to do it. People never understand, like, he's showing this technique using this thing, and this is just one way of many ways. I'm seeing it right now with the video that I just did on, I'm really bad at the pointing thing. That slat wall.
Yeah, I've actually just finished an install doing a lot of slat wall as well, actually, today. I've just finished a big install, yeah, a big media wall. And but yeah, as you say, it's like, I mean, the amount of hate comments or troll comments I get about, "Oh, you're doing it wrong, this, that, and other." But I actually say, and even if it's the wrong thing to say, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Just because you did it one way doesn't mean it's the right way.
People don't think about that, though. People don't think about that. Like this video that I released this morning on this, I've received more skeptical comments on it than any other video in this short amount of time. Like, everyone's going, "Well, that's an awfully expensive way to do that. You could have done it like this," or "Why would you waste all the time doing it this way?" Or "Wow, you could use these and not have to spend all that money on." I'm like, I don't care. I am showing you how I did it and demonstrating another great use case for a really cool tool. If you don't want to do that, I don't care.
Unfortunately, I've been on site all day, so I've not seen the video yet. I'll watch it with a coffee tomorrow morning.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a quick, good little quick video. But it's just unbelievable to me how
It looks really good though.
narrow-minded people can be, right? It's like, yeah, I could have done this 5 other ways, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to. I have a Lamello. I have the P2 system, or the Zeta P2.
Yeah.
I have the Tenso connectors. I want to try this, so I did it. I don't care that it didn't
Oh,
meet Bob's needs.
I think I might have seen a snippet on maybe your Instagram stories or something you did a while ago about it, maybe about using a tensor on the slat wall.
Yeah,
I think,
it was
yeah,
great.
that does actually ring a bell. But again, yeah, you know what? Lamello Zeta, I've just done a big install with it and using the Lamello. I've had the Zeta now for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years maybe. And you know what? I've only started using it the last 2 because I've been scared of it almost. And
Right.
I know the domino's there. I can reach for the domino and then I'm in my workshop. I know I've got a green screen thing. If I move around, you might be able to see. I'm in my workshop. You just see bits of it. So I can
Yeah.
get the domino, it's there. And I'm used to the domino. I've used the domino for 10 years. So, I'm very comfortable with the domino. The Zeta being a bit different and the way it works is different. And you have to think differently how the different connections works with the Tensos or the Defaros or the Clamexes or, do you know what I mean? And it's, so, but I've noticed this last maybe couple of months. I don't think I've used my domino once. I'm using my Zeta every single day.
Yeah, it's funny because I owned mine for just over a year before I even took it out of the sustainer. Because it was one of those things like I have to learn something new now. Why would I do that? I could just go to the domino. And I'm going to be doing a video on this because I don't think that the domino and the Lamello Zeta P2 are two very, very different tools.
Yeah, entirely.
But it's really interesting how many different use cases you can use the Lamello and those connectors for, even just as a biscuit joiner. And I finally, on this project behind me, the built-in, I was like, you know what? I'm going to force myself to use this tool on as many things as I possibly can. And it really was eye-opening to me. And I mean, it'll change the way that I do things moving forward because it really is a truly great system. And sure,
It has its
Go ahead.
limitations though, like everything, doesn't it? Though, because
of course,
you can't use it on less than 15 mil. So
right.
less than 50. So you're in. What's that? I can't. I don't do imperial. So just over half.
I use metric pretty much primarily.
Oh, of course you do. Actually, you got me onto the True 32 tape measures. I've got a couple of them actually. It was one of your very early videos that got me onto the True 32 tapes, which is they're super expensive in the UK because import charges and all that. But yeah, I do find that the Lamello and the Domino hand in hand together are an unbeatable combination.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, you really can use them in combination with each other. I did on the conference table that I just recently built. They're just phenomenal tools. They're great at what they do. And what's funny is I actually think that the Lamello, now that it's getting a lot more popularity on social media, the Lamello is the new Domino in the sense that there's a lot of people out there that just want to crap on it because it's just becoming popular. It hasn't really been that popular on social media. The Domino's been out for a while. Everybody has one. So now everyone's kind of died down on the hate for it. But I'm kind of getting that sense with the Lamello a little bit.
I think the problem with the Zeta is is really expensive. It is a very expensive tool. I think it's twice the price of the Domino, give or take.
Close.
Then the connectors are, I mean, in the UK, they're literally £1 each or £1.20 each. So, do you know what I mean? A Domino in relation is 10p. So a Zeta connection is 10 times the price.
Yeah.
So then but then every shelf that you put in is 4 connectors. That's it. It soon adds up. So I've just done a little media unit, and I blew through, I think, 150 quid worth of Lamello fittings. Do you know what I mean? On price, it's a lot of money. But the people, I find, if you're doing a big media wall or whatever, a big job, you lose. Sorry, you not lose. You save a lot of time on the manufacturing side of something. Then you flat pack it, you take it to the job, you install it, you save more time. So all that labour you've saved is actually just made you a lot more money, even with the connectors. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And I mean, if you're charging customers at the end of the day, like, you know, they're going to end up paying for whatever materials, you know, that you're using in the first place. But I think a more fair comparison would be like, how much is a domino connector, you know, in comparison? Because, you know, a domino versus a Tenso or a Clamex, that's not a super fair comparison, but connector to connector, that is. So it's really not that much more, because, you know, a lot of people, if you're comparing apples to apples, a lot of people said, like, well, why wouldn't I just use biscuits, or why wouldn't you just use dominoes, or why, you know, why, yeah, dowels. It's like, okay, people are missing the point. The point of what I wanted to do was cut everything, and when I was done, I could just walk inside, snap them in place, and walk away. I didn't want to. Yes, I didn't want to glue them. I didn't want to use pin nails, brad nails. I didn't want to screw them in from behind. I just wanted to walk in, clip them in place, and look at it and go, it looks amazing. And guess what? That is exactly what happened. And I loved it. And it was a wonderful experience. And I would do it again over and over and over again.
But it's funny though, you say, you corrected what you're saying, like the Clamex is very similar to one of the domino connectors with the actual, the D8. Yeah, the D8 ones. And I must admit though, because I have got the domino connector set, because I've got pretty much everything that is Festool is literally behind me. I have got pretty much everything. I'm very much a bit of a nerd, and but I do not like the connectors because they have the limitations that even in 3/4 of an inch material, you can, when you use the drill, you can just tap the other side and you can blow through ever so slightly. So you need to use like 22mm stock when using domino connectors. Whereas the Lamello will go down to 50. I've just done a big wardrobe job with 15mm, which is what, just over ½ inch. You know, the limit, not the thinnest. So I think, again, the media wall I've just done, I did Lamello everything, as much as I could do anyway. But then the drawer boxes were made out of ½ inch. Well, I had to use domino because the domino is what. But the other thing as well, because sorry, I will talk Festool all day long. I really will.
Right.
We had this with the first time we had I know you know Tommy. Tommy Mulaney from Black Label Carpentry. He's going to be coming as a regular guest host as well, actually.
Oh, cool.
Tommy's a good mate, good friend now. We've met through this. And yeah, so anyway, yeah. And we just ended up spinning like an hour and a half full of Festool.
Right.
And everyone got like, that's not the bit we wanted to talk about. So, of course, you were been in the army for, is it 25 years?
20, yeah.
20 years service as a drill sergeant.
Not as a drill sergeant the whole time.
But no, obviously you have to progress through the ranks or the correct way to get there. But that's how you left, was as a drill sergeant, wasn't it? That was your final.
No, it was not. So I was a drill sergeant from 2012 to 2015. And then I went and I was a ROTC instructor at a senior military college in Georgia. And then I came up here to Indiana, where I was basically an advisor, and I would assess and evaluate National Guard and Reserve forces. And usually you can do a drill sergeant for 2 years, but you can volunteer to do a third. I volunteered to do a third because I enjoyed it. But I really enjoyed that teaching side of things.
So one thing I noticed obviously on the social media side that I think is a superb thing, and I've got to commend the American Army for this as well, that because you've obviously spent your entire life within the Army, you're not used to civvy street, as a lot of people aren't. So you were given the opportunity to do an internship as a way of like integrating back into society almost, type thing. And you were very lucky in the fact of you got to go, well, some people would say lucky, others would say unfortunate, but you spent some time was it 3 to 4 months you spent at Festool USA?
It was 2 months, November and December of last year.
Yeah. So I mean, that must have been quite. I mean, obviously, I've seen a lot of your social media around that time as well. How did you find Sedge? I mean, Sedge, he's a larger than life character, isn't he?
He is. I mean, and he's exactly the same in real life as he is on on his lives on social media. He's just a great person. Him and I have become extremely close, and I would say that was probably the highlight of the time there, was the fact that I got to go and do one-on-one training with him on the tools, and it was amazing because I've been using these tools for years, and it did not matter what tool we touched, the domino, the routers, the jigsaw, the sander. I mean, it did not matter. I learned multiple things that I didn't know before, because he's just a wealth of knowledge, when it comes to that equipment.
I think unfortunately he gets a bit, especially from like the UK side, he gets a bit of a bad rep because of no, I don't know if it's quite right, but typical Yank type thing. He's very Yank, and that's sort of like a degrading type term towards he's just so loud and flamboyant and outgoing. But as you know, I mean, I've watched him since he started the Festool USA channel. I've watched his own personal channel, and as you say, it's like if it's something is to be known about a tool, he knows it about that tool.
Right.
If he doesn't know about it, it's not worth knowing, is it? It really isn't. The guy, I mean, I think he must be like the world's foremost expert on Festool. He must be, surely. Or close.
I mean, he's definitely up there for sure. And it was funny. I actually got to go to. My wife is German, and we go visit her family every year. And I actually, this was a result of the internship. It was kind of coordinated while I was doing the internship. I got to go to Festool headquarters in Germany and meet the owner and eat lunch with her and some of the other board members and the trainers. And the trainers there in Germany are also extremely, extremely knowledgeable on all of the stuff. And it's just really impressive because, you go deal with like sales reps and you go deal with, regional guys and the people that come and stock the stores. And it's like, sometimes they're really knowledgeable. Sometimes, they don't necessarily know everything about the tools, but they can sell really well. And, you get around these guys like Sedge or any of these main trainers, Brent, and it's just like, any question you have, they have an answer for it, and they can show you all these amazing use cases for a tool. And I would assume it's that way with, with any brand, not just Festool, but it's just really impressive to be, that knowledgeable on something.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I just mean that he gets a bit of a bad, people. I mean, it's the whole thing, isn't it? There's always the brand wars, so to speak, where we're going to get calls because you buy the green stuff,
right?
You're going to get calls, the Festool bank and this. No,
yeah.
I bought the first tool. I mean, for the first time I ever saw Festool, I was working for I wasn't working for, but we were doing refits for the Hilton Hotel, and a company from, I think it was Belgium or Holland, I can't remember, came over to do the fitted wardrobes in the rooms. And they came with this weird contraption. It was the AT65. Was it AT55? AT55, sorry. And so the first ever Festo, plunge saw on a rail. And we're like, yeah, go on, what's this rubbish? And there they were, you're like, oh, that's a nice clean cut, like a melamine, Formica type surface. And well, that's quite good, that, because we're all used to using our circular saws upside down and, and all that stuff. That's not too bad. I thought, oh, these will never. We walked out the room type thing, thinking this will never catch on. This, do you know what I mean? And, 5 years later, 7 years later, I was buying that saw.
Yeah.
And I've had several of the different ones over the years now, and they are. I mean, for me, the plunge saw, it's got to be the tool that's changed my way of working or my ability as a joiner the most. over my. I mean, it's funny when we've had lads on here that it's a bit different, obviously, because I know you've not been in the woodworking community for all your career type thing, but the lads were on. We had someone from New Zealand, Australia, and they did not believe me that we did not have nail guns back in day when we started. Like, well, how did you do a stud? I went, a hammer.
Huh.
We did not have nail guns. We did not have them. They
Right.
came out well after I'd done my apprenticeship. So all these tools and these progressions over the years, like the domino, when I got the domino, finally got a domino about 6 years ago or something, I think.
Right.
That's got to be my other tool that changed the way that not the way I work, but the way I could work or what I was able to do
Right.
from a home workshop. So what have been your sort of, I know you've got your nice home workshop again now, because now you moved recently, didn't you, or a few months ago, type thing, and you've got your new workshop you've built, and
Yeah. So was it early last year? Yeah, mid 2022. We moved in this new place after only being in the other house for 2 years.
is it a year
after I
already?
got
It doesn't seem like
yeah,
a year already. Christ.
after I got everything set up and I was happy with the way it was and remodeled the whole house, and then we moved. So now we're in this place, and same size shop, standard 3-car or small 3-car garage here in the US. I know it's a lot bigger than probably what a lot of people in Europe are used to,
Yeah.
quite honestly. But
Yeah, we've had this before. Your garages or your 3-car garage is double the size as a UK 3-car garage. You've got double the size roughly, if not slightly more.
Yeah. It's funny, every time I go back to Germany and I go to like in-laws houses and stuff and see their garages, and I'm like, man, this just wouldn't work.
No.
Right.
Yeah, get your truck in there, are you?
Yeah, no, I'd have to get rid of my truck, get rid of all my tools, and but it's nice, the space that I'm in now, the way that I look at things and the tools that I want and stuff like that has changed, pretty drastically. But I would love to have a separate shop, like a detached building on my property, just so I'd have that little bit of separation. I'd feel a little bit more separated as well. But it is kind of nice sometimes, like when I'm doing things in the house and it's like, oh crap, I need this tool, or I need to go make this cut real quick, and I can just walk into my garage real fast and do it and walk right back inside.
Yeah. See, I like that because my workshop is actually, and I'm in the workshop at the minute. My workshop is a double bedroom upstairs.
Really?
So yeah. So I actually break everything down with either the plunge saw or I have the CMS table with the track saw. I have the router table and the table saws as CMS, and I break everything down the driveway. I bring it upstairs. I refine it upstairs, and then I make everything upstairs. If I have to spray something, I spray everything in the gazebo on the driveway. I literally work out of a 4x3 meter bedroom and a 3x3 meter gazebo. That is my workshop.
Wow. I just
you do what you do, and you make work what you've got.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'd love to have a nice workshop down the road, but at the same time, the amount of cost involved with that, I'd have to get 3 lads, do 3 times the amount of work just to make the same money. It's not worth it. Yeah. I like, as you said, being able to come up. I sit in the morning, like tomorrow morning, I'll watch your video, cup of coffee, sort dogs out. I'll come upstairs and I'll start thinking about and working, because the commute is 30 seconds.
Right.
It's brilliant. I love it. I don't think I'd want to change it. I love the home workshop. I love it.
Yeah. It's funny. You see a lot of people in the social media side of things that have these really big followings, and it seems like it's a natural progression. They all end up getting some commercial space somewhere,
a big warehouse type thing.
Yeah, and it's like, and I get it. Like they've branched out and like have all of these other things that they're making money from, and it's all a result of the social media. But it's almost like a rite of passage. You get to a certain point and it's like, now I've got to find a rental and I got to do all my stuff in this place. And it seems like they're moving their rental location, multiple times. That's just a headache I don't want to deal with,
I don't want to do that. I mean, as much as I do want to make content creating my thing, so to speak, like moving forward, and I've got a big bank of videos all sat here waiting to go out and everything else. And of course, the podcast eventually, hopefully, that will take off and work. And I really enjoy doing this sort of video chat type things these days. Although I hate talking to people, I'm not very sociable. That's why I keep looking away from the camera, because I just can't. I find it really awkward. But yeah, it's for me. I don't want to be. I don't want to be in that big commercial space because, yeah, oh great, you can have a 10x5 CNC. You can have your big super duper table saw that you deep, 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 deep,
Right.
and it does whatever you want. That ain't me. Me is breaking down stuff, sheet material with a plunge saw.
Yeah.
One of my favourite, I mean, two of my other favourite. I mean, I love Michael Arm. He's one of my big inspirations as well, with the pattern plywood type stuff. But one of my other most favourite content creators is actually Make with Miles. You know Miles?
Miles, no.
Make with Miles. So I think he's about 19 now. He's only a young lad. He's in college. You have to check him out. He makes everything on his driveway. He's friends with Michael and also with 1000.
Huh.
Honestly, his stuff, and he makes his stuff literally on his driveway under a gazebo, and it's scary how he does some things. You're like, that's not a good idea.
Right.
That's bad. And Glad's, he's a design student. He's doing design and product design in university, and he is such. You've honestly got to go and check him out. He is super.
Miles.
Make with Miles. Honestly, he is very stuff he's made. His first video, I think, was 14 on YouTube.
Wow.
And what he's turned out over the last 4 or 5 years, mate, he put stuff that I've made, like one of my best installs I've just finished today. And I'll do a post on my Instagram over the weekend with that. It makes my stuff look shit.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
this guy is amazing. Honestly, he's only a young lad, and he's very humble with it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's impressive.
You've got to check him out. He is honestly, he's superb, and it's just weird how I only got to know about him because I've been speaking to Michael Arm because Michael's been a good friend over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last few years, he's been very helpful. Should I say? I can't say friend, but you know what I mean. He's like, I reached out to him. It was the first person I ever reached out to on social media. I thought, he'll never get back to me. He'll never get back to me. And he's been such a big help he came back to me with ideas and other stuff. And made me think, you know what? All these big creators aren't actually unreachable.
No. I mean, there are definitely some out there that, I mean, I kind of get it. Like you get to a point where maybe it just, you only have so much time in the day. I still make it an effort to like respond to everybody that writes me a message on Instagram. It's not, I don't do it, the minute they send me the message anymore, but even if it's a couple days later, I still make it an effort because they made an effort to write me the message. And I never understood why somebody would just completely disconnect themselves from communicating with people that are following them, because isn't that what these platforms are for? Isn't that what we all started this for? And I'm always surprised when I get people that say, thank you for responding, or I didn't think you were going to respond. Or it's just like, do a lot of people not, write back and respond? And
it's funny though, because that's one thing I've said. I mean, I was shocked that you agreed to come onto the podcast for me because, it's very humbling for me to actually speak to you. You know what I mean? Because you are one of my most favourite creators, and you have been an inspiration for me to start on this journey. And it's so good that when he responds, and it's like, wow. But I must admit though, there's only one person. I'm not going to name this person on this channel because I don't want to bad name him. He's a very big American YouTuber type thing, and he's the only person that has never responded to one of my messages in the last 3 years.
Oh wow.
And I've spoke to loads of people, and they always respond. We have a chat,
Mm-hmm.
but it's funny though because some of the size of your account is significantly big for social. But you've got a really good following. I mean, I'm a small fish compared to you. Do you know what I mean? And
Right.
you responded to me, but I get people messaging me which might only have say 2,000 followers, say,
Mm-hmm.
and they actually say to me, "Oh, you responded.
Right.
Why wouldn't I?"
Well, that's what's actually really cool about this whole, like, I love the woodworking community on Instagram, and to be honest with you, like, that's the only reason I'm even on Instagram anymore, is just to communicate with those people and do stories. But there's always somebody that is below, and I'm not saying below in terms of numbers or audience size or followers. There's always somebody that has less knowledge and is seeking that knowledge out than you at the time. Like, so, even if you have 100 followers, there's somebody that might send you a message that just got on Instagram and is like, I want to know. So it's really cool that there's that, environment where there's always somebody that can learn, and there's, no matter how big you are, there's always somebody ahead of you that you could probably learn from. And I just feel like Instagram's always done very well with that side of things, right? And then as they start to grow or they stay on the platform longer, then they find some of these other accounts, and unfortunately, one of the big things, people look at it and they're like, well, I don't want to go talk to, like, I get this a lot when I go to trade shows or Workbench Con or stuff like that, right? You go to these events, and I can tell when people clearly want to come up and say hi or shake my hand or talk, just talk. And I'm a very approachable person at all these things, and I always try to bring people into the conversation. And when I see that, and it's so sad sometimes, because I always, like, when I'm in a rockler or a woodcraft, I can tell, because it's very obvious just by the way somebody's reacting, and they don't come up and they don't say anything, and they don't, like, introduce themselves, and they don't, because they have this stigma, like, this person has a big following and they're some, like, fake celebrity status. And I hate that, because I just want people, I am no different than anybody else. I've just been a little bit more successful on a social media platform, and that's it. Other than that, I do everything exactly the same as anybody else does. And I encourage people that, like, if there's people out there that you want to meet and communicate with, like, that's the point of the platform. Absolutely. Because, like you just said, you've reached out to tons of people and there's only one person that hasn't written you back. So that means pretty good odds that if you have a question or you want to say hi to somebody that has a bigger account, do it. And it doesn't matter that they have a bigger account, right? Like,
Absolutely.
the bigger you get, I actually found this, the bigger I got, the more I realized that your numbers are less and less important. It does have importance in certain categories. There are some brands that absolutely care about how many numbers you have.
Things like collaborations and getting products and stuff, it can matter 100%.
Right.
Well, engagement thing is, I've only just hit like 5K game, but my engagement is like 8% on Instagram, which is really high. So
Right.
when I approach a company, I tend to get something because
Yeah.
engagement's there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about the actual number.
No.
Overall, it's it's more about how, I think it's how you interact with those people, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just like talking to somebody in real life. If you talk to somebody in real life and you're an a-hole, well, guess what? They're not going to like you. If you communicate, in a polite manner, it's a totally different story. Same thing on Instagram, right? If you don't respond or you just blow people off, like, people are going to have a certain impression of you. If you take time to respond, and then you're going to be known as somebody who is approachable and helpful, and it's going to build that friendship. All of my closest relationships now, all of them, and I was in the Army for 20 years. Don't get me wrong, I have amazing relationships with guys in the Army, but the people that I am closest with and that I talk to on a daily basis are every one of them all from social media.
That's bizarre because it's such a toxic place as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Or it can be, should I say.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's not
Absolutely.
always. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I've had to find that I'm having to check my requests and hidden requests and junk files on every platform because I get a message off someone because you don't follow them. It goes into these other files that you don't know
Mhm.
about. And I have to say to them, I'm ever so sorry. I
Right.
didn't respond. I didn't see it. I
I'm the
genuinely
same
didn't see
way.
it.
I'm the
Yeah.
same way.
I think that's how you. I think that's how you first responded to me. Actually, it's like, oh, we went to the other file type thing. Do you know what I mean? Because, what other than that, someone that's only got like 4,000 or 5,000 followers messaging you, it's that sort of. It is that big difference, and it, you know what I mean? It is that.
Well, it's just one of those things that, like, unless I go and check them, that's one of those folders that I only check like every few days.
Yeah.
And I never I remember the day that started happening because that hidden messages folder and request thing was not always there. I used to get every message. It didn't matter
Yeah.
who was sending me the message. And then all of a sudden I saw this little icon in requests and I'm like, "Oh, what's this?" And then underneath requests it said hidden messages. I'm like,
requests, yeah.
"Why what are all these different categories?"
Well, hidden ones will be the sex workers trying to hit you up, isn't it? Do you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, yeah. But I still get a lot of regular comments in there too. A lot of
Yeah.
regular questions. So I don't know how they're classified or what comes up. But usually I don't see those, maybe once or twice a week. Because I'm busy responding to the other people that I've had these conversations with. So I just thought that was kind of strange how they do that. But yeah, there's a lot of spam and stuff too, though. It's like, so I am kind of glad that it has that separate folder because I'm tired of getting the group messages of somebody that wants to DM me their naked pictures.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll send it on the private chat later then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no,
It'll come right through now because we've communicated now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, although I mean, I could speak hours to you, 100%. I could do, but I'm going to have to call it because we are hitting our time quota that I like to do because it's the
Oh, okay.
ideal travel time.
45 minutes.
45 minutes. It just goes so quick when you're talking to someone that's so interesting. And honestly, Jason, it's been a real pleasure to have you on today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, to our listeners, if you've been under some sort of rock somewhere, all of Jason's links will be in the description down below. And if you heard him, you can send him nudes. He loves nudes, apparently.
Love them.
And yeah, mate, honestly, it's been a real pleasure. And I'm so pleased you came onto the show. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. It's a good time.